If you're watching on YouTube, hit refresh. Didn't engage the advertisements until the show started. Thought I had the checklist under control, but I digress. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of Thomas Massie's very interesting, very crucial race. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Tuesday, May 19, 2026, and this right here, the thing that you're watching is called the TNAM Daily Show. There it is, very little. Here it is, big. The TNAM Daily Show. TNAM stands for the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Of course, we're going to give you some updates on the Thomas Massie race. President Trump campaigning hard against Thomas Massie. This is a bit of a canary in the coal mine. Thomas Massie has built over the years a reputation of being a pretty solid, consistent voice against government overreach and overspending. And now you have a situation where Thomas Massie has been voting alongside the Democrats to block President Trump's agenda many times. Maybe, what is it? Something making strange bedfellows. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Thomas Massie cozying up with that Ro Khanna weirdo. It just sort of seems like Massie's playing for the other team. Now, that's not accurate. Massie's more conservative than the MAGA base. He didn't like the big, beautiful bill. It's spending too much. Here's what I have to say. If you need his vote, he could say, I'm against this. I won't vote for that. And then the whip or the majority leader or the, whatever, the air quote, the caucus, the colleagues say, listen, we know that you don't like this, but if we don't get your vote, the Democrats are going to block this. We do need the support. Is there any universe where there could be some sort of pragmatism, political pragmatism? Hit like, please. Hit the thumbs up button. Or maybe Thomas Massie could say, listen, I don't like this, and I won't vote for this. And they say, well, is there anything we can do? And then Massie would say, well, reduce spending. And they go, oh, so like we take a couple bucks off of this bill? He goes, no, reduce it from what it was last year. And they go, we can't do that. He goes, is there anything you can do? They go, what if we do a 10% across the board slashing of the 1.1 trillion turns to 1 trillion or so, whatever, take 10% off. Isn't there any universe where Thomas Massie could be pragmatic enough to compromise? And I think that's one of the largest selling points, but also one of the biggest frustrations dealing with libertarians, an unwillingness to compromise, and government is compromise. Having served 15 years on a homeowners association with 25 buildings, 216 units, in a big city with a lot of things going on. I've said this, and I don't know that the other board members really understood what I was saying, and it's a shame. Because a lot of them tried to spend $1 at every meeting, and that's not how it works. So if you're elected for a year term, say you have 12 monthly meetings, you have a pile of change put into your hand. You have some pennies. Yes, still pennies. Nickels, dimes, quarters, 50-cent piece. Divvy it up however you want. When you're all in on some issues, it means you acquiesce in some others. You draw some lines in the sand. And if you say, no, I don't like that, you pay a penny. You push back. And they're like, no, I really think it's a good idea. You add another dime. And you go, no. I am really telling you, that's a non-starter. We're not going there with this. It's a bad idea. At some point, you run out of coins. So at some point, you're not a professional, consistent antagonist, you run out of pennies to play. Like a game of poker you could think of. But if you're like, look, I got this real extensive plan to paint 4 buildings this year. Every 3 months, let's spread out the work. I'm in. I'm moving in on this. Well, then on some of the other issues, maybe you don't get as big a say on the color of paint, or you don't get as big a say on the change orders. Or maybe when it comes time to, well, we're going to do a driveway. Should we do building 7 or building 14? And you go, well, should we do asphalt or should we do concrete? You go, well, I here's my opinion. I'm not super antagonistic about it because I pushed all of my chips in and I got that big picture thing over there. What do you guys feel strongly about? It's sort of a give and take, and there is not a give and take when it comes to dealing with many libertarians, most libertarians, dare I say, almost all libertarians. It's a high and mighty looking down their nose at you. You fools. You fiat money loving fools, they will say, looking down their nose at you. Why, I supported a budget of $0, for I am the most authentic, constitutionally principled person around. Grovel at my feet, for I am King Libertarian, who doesn't believe in kings, but I am the king of libertarians. And they almost all feel this way. Good luck with your $0 budget. That's a dereliction of duty. But it made me feel good, and I can virtue signal from my libertarian perch. I thought virtue signaling was a tool of the left. Oh, you mean the left that you constantly seem to support by blocking the MAGA agenda? Yes, but I'm not left. I'm so far right. Well, if it's a dial of a clock, you have the right if you're looking at the clock, it's 3 o'clock, and the left is at 6. But I'm so far right. I've crossed the 6 o'clock median point, and I'm further. Oh, so you mean you're on the left? No. No, see, I'm so far right. You're so far right that you've become left. A deep stater, a globalist, an enabler at least. When you look around and find yourself along the when you look around and figure out where you landed on the beach after the wave took you out to shore and I shall not tire my arms. I'm a libertarian. I'm the best. God will shine down upon me, although I'll probably be a deist and not believe in a God. However, I will land where I'm supposed to land. Well, when you land past 6 o'clock on that dial, you're looking at the clock on the wall, and you're standing around Ro Khanna, and you're standing around the darlings of the left, it is possible to go too far right. So when I spoke with Dave Smith, comic Dave Smith does his podcast. He was at the 2024 Libertarian Convention in DC, the same hotel, I think, the DC Hilton. The same one where they were attempting to have the White House press correspondence dinner, and there was a shooting. Dave was up there at the Libertarian Convention. President Trump was speaking. He gave a keynote speech. So did Bobby Kennedy Jr. So did Vivek Ramaswamy, and among others. And Dave was suggesting to the libertarian crowd, let's work with MAGA. Let's work with President Trump. Let's work with... Our side has no chance of doing anything, but if we can peel 0.5% off in every state, if we can get some people to... If there's some close states, we should work with them. They're going to be good for crypto. They're going to get Ross Ulbricht out of jail. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They've promised to appoint libertarian voices to cabinet positions, move us into higher ranking positions where we can have more of an influence. We'll have no influence if Kamala wins, but we'll have some influence if this side wins. And when I talked to Dave, I said I was there and I appreciate your political pragmatism. It's not that you don't believe more strongly in libertarian ideals, because you do. By the way, anybody watching on YouTube, hit the refresh button. We didn't have the ads monetized when we launched the show, please. But it's common sense to say, what's the guy's name? Oliver, Chase Oliver. He was in favor of unnecessary genital mutilation of children, an absolute non-starter, in my opinion, of a position that a person could hold. You got to protect those kids against Munchausen mommies and any sort of groomers or handlers or abusers. You just don't let kids. You protect kids until they're 18 and let them do what they want with their own money, on their own time, with their own decisions. You want face tattoos, you want to chop body parts off, and you want to pay for it. You know what? Who am I to tell Jelly Roll he can't put a teardrop on his face? Or I don't know if he has a teardrop or not. But Dave Smith was basically telling the libertarians, our candidate has no chance of doing anything. So if we vote for him, we're wasting our vote. We do need to oppose this Kamala Harris thing. And President Trump has offered an olive branch out, saying he would like to work with us on some key issues. It's obvious we should get a couple of wins as opposed to nothing but losses. Or look down your nose and stay pristine and say, I would never compromise my values. I should never. And look, when it comes to gun issues, never compromise your values. Freedom of speech, Fourth Amendment abuses of search and seizure, and illegal spying. There are a few key issues. But when it comes to budget, yeah, and by the way, the Fourth Amendment, warrantless search and seizure, guess what just happened? Luigi Mangione, well, the judge threw out some evidence because they said it was acquired illegally. Oh, really now? Is there a chance he gets out? But when you're looking at zero opportunities to win, it's why I say being an atheist is, I don't understand the allegiance to the philosophy that if there's something on the other side, I don't want to have a chance to get it right. Well, then that means you don't have faith. No, it means I'm being pragmatic. Do the math. If there is nothing on the other side and I choose to believe in something spiritual, and if there is nothing, so what? Nothing changes. So what? But if there is something, I'd rather have one of the ping pong balls in the lottery, knowing that my number could be called. Of course, there's many reasons why I have the faith that I have. But if there's no chance to get anything successfully across the finish line, if the Democrats seize power in 2024, Dave Smith told the Libertarian Convention, he's like, hey, I think it would make a lot of sense to go over here and work with them and get a couple of victories, a couple of wins. They want to work with us on some stuff. You know, President Trump, shortly after this event, brought in Bobby Kennedy with Maha to his side. And I'll forever be indebted to President Trump for bringing us in, although right now I don't know what's going on with the glyphosate thing. But President Trump himself was just like, I like Bobby. A lot of people, they said, sir, a lot of people would love to have Bobby Kennedy helping out. And I said, bring him in with the air and the water, but stay away from the other kooky shit that guy gets into. Pragmatic. Hey, we'll bring you in. You can help us in some levels. Tulsi Gabbard, libertarian leaning. All right, you're not with us. The Venn diagram overlaps a little bit, not completely, somewhat. Well, we can work together on some stuff. You don't need to be a carbon copy of somebody to get things done. And I don't know, maybe Thomas Massie did make an attempt to tell him during the big, beautiful budget negotiation, hey, I can't vote for that thing. And if you really need my vote, I need to pull a Joe Manchin. What was it? Manchin and Cinema were always the two. Mainly Joe Manchin. That was Virginia, right? He would be like the tiebreaker, so he'd get like extra negotiating ability. It's a pretty good idea. And you're like, look, I don't like what you're doing. I want a budget that's baseline from what it was last year. Actually, I want to reduce. And so during the first round, I voted no. Now, if you're telling me that it's trying to get to here, we got to get a budget, I need to get something back. Give me 10% off the top of everything. Let me claim that I was able to drag this budget back that I personally saved with these votes. But they just look at it like, no, then I would be responsible for all that spending because I signed off on it and compromised my moral certitude. You know, that it just, you do make political enemies that way. Right or wrong, I can listen to people tell you know a man by his votes. And the guy who's standing to the other side of 6 o'clock on the wall clock, it's like, yeah, you're among the leftists now. You started off far right and you went further right and you end up looping back around to the left. Know them by their votes. But I get it. You're just not going to have my support unless you do things that I'm going to support. So we're going to break down the Thomas Massie situation, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out with the votes today, along with a whole bunch of other news. So everybody hit the thumbs up button. If you were watching on YouTube and no ads popped up, hit refresh, please. Because even then, it'll just keep an ad on the screen, and that's like pennies in the wishing well. We always appreciate the pennies. We have Rumble Rant and Super Chat tips, as well as signing up to support the New American Media on Patreon, Rumble, and YouTube. Thank you to everybody who has and everybody who will. Additionally, well, yeah, like I said earlier, this is the TNAM Daily Show. My name is Brian, but I'm Brian the bartender. See the screens behind me on the bar here. If you want to throw something into the tip jar, we have Cash App and Venmo. That's just my name, Brian Engelman, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, as well as PayPal. That's fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com, as well as the Rumble Rants and Super Chat tips as well. So we're going to dig into the news and talk about the things I believe coming up. I don't know if it was Eastern time or Central time. Perhaps during this show, we're going to hear President Trump. He said he's going to make an endorsement in the Texas race between Cornyn and Paxton, unless it's happened already. So buckle up, buttercups. The TNAM Daily Show starts now.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you all so much for being here. Nice preppy shirt, Brian. Yes, it is. It is. I'm going through my summer clothing rack now. I like the winter time, wearing the hoodies and the whatnots. Yeah, I had pink flamingos yesterday. I got a nice preppy shirt today. Merry and refreshed and got the ad. Thank you so much for double checking. Dina says government isn't mommy and daddy. Well, to some voting groups, they are. Yes, I hope we're going to get the Texas endorsement. I mean, there's no way that President Trump endorses John Cornyn, right? Right? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. All right. Thank you all for being here. Huh. This is acting strange for me. All right. All right. Yeah, I think yesterday Instagram glitched and I wasn't able to share you any of the stories we had. But I'm going to try it today. Unlimited L's put this out.
2 died after getting trapped in a Boston subway station escalator.
Okay. Is this confirmed? I mean, this is very specific. It tells you names and stuff. I just want to look this up. A Boston escalator took this guy's life. They're saying 40 years old. Stephen McCluskey, just before 5 a.m. on February 27. A carpenter and father of 2 young sons from South Boston. My gosh. I had never heard this story, and it appears to check out on Grok. Just a sign of the times, people.
Where more than a dozen people walked past him without helping. Stephen McCluskey lost his balance while going down the escalator at...
There's too much music there. People walked past him. That guy stopped and tried to help, but then just walked away. Look at all these people going past him for 20 minutes. An employee finally stopped the escalator 20 minutes later before medics arrived and performed CPR. How do you not stop and help? How do you not...
Employee finally stopped the escalator.
Sort of be super careful, be alert, and just realize nobody's going to help.
A father of 2 died after getting trapped in a Boston subway station escalator, where more than a dozen people...
Sorry to lead with such an awful story, but my gosh, did the elevator become AI conscious? Yeah, I think Stephen King wrote a book. Not Graveyard Shift, not Skeleton Key. Maybe it was Lawnmower Man, where all the machines became aware. What a horrible story. Prayers to that guy's family. And just, if you find somebody struggling, just don't be one of the people that walk past. How do you walk past? You stop what you're doing. Well, I'm going to miss a train. Yeah, you're going to miss a train today, Marion says, I saw that yesterday and someone said they watched the video and it appeared he was drunk when he fell. Couldn't find the video myself. Didn't spend a bunch of time looking for it either. Yeah, it said he lost his balance. It could have been both. I don't know. Either way, if I'm seeing a drunk getting strangled for 20 minutes, I'd be like, well, this is not right. 1, how do you stop the thing? 2, how do you just cause a scene, get everybody helping? Someone turn this thing off. Someone get some help. Call for help. Everybody, you alert everyone. Anyway. Owen Schroyer here. Yeah, I'm just telling you what's in the news. That one surprised me. Owen Schroyer, formerly of InfoWars, says, what do Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massie, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have in common? They all forced the vote on the Epstein Act. But in the comments, it says, cool story. Say, where was their feigned outrage during the last administration? Good question. This administration is the one that arrested him. This is the one that released files. Definitely didn't happen under Biden or Obama. Owen says they, MAGA, attack conservatives harder than deep state criminals and Democrats now. So that's Massie is Schrodinger's candidate. He's both on the left and he's a victim of the right. Simultaneously. You know the Schrodinger's cat story. Lauren Boebert, yeah, the rumors about her and Thomas Massie are out there. Rumors, unconfirmed. Proven, disproven, I don't know. I hear the rumblings and whisperings. And if they're both single individuals, does any of it matter? Marjorie Taylor Greene, lots of rumors about her and her swinging ways on a jungle gym, of course. Not in the bedroom, of course. Unconfirmed rumors, but it's widely known. Widely assumed, at least, rightfully or wrongfully. But they all forced the vote on the Epstein Act. And so President Trump has gone after Marjorie Taylor Brown and says all sorts of mean things about Thomas Massie, and I think he's trying to go after Lauren Boebert now. Why is Trump protecting, or at least seemingly protecting, these Epstein files? Because he's all over it, because Bibi's all over it, because his rich friends and donors are all over it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, because there's nothing to see there. And every time you keep bringing this crap up, it's just it's slowing the whole process down. It's a distraction. There's nothing else to see there. And you keep going on, and it's messing up my term. Couldn't it be any of these scenarios? I think it could be any of those scenarios. Maybe it could be multiple of those scenarios at the same time. Elon reposted Jason's post here. Jason Meester says they arrested the president of the United States of America 4 times. They charged him 91 times, indicted him 4 times, spied on his campaign, sabotaged his first term, jailed his supporters, raided his private residence, censored him, gagged him, tried to bankrupt him, and attempted to remove him from state ballots. When all that failed, they tried to assassinate him not once, but 4 times. And they go on national television to talk about how we need to vote for them to save democracy. So, part of this compromise, part of this politicking, when you see what they've done to mess him up, maybe have his back a little bit, maybe offer a little bit of compromise. Seeing how far the left will go to destroy a man and a movement, to push all sorts of authoritarian civil rights violating nonsense, while simultaneously flooding our country with tens of millions of unvetted people from unknown places, with unknown criminal background checks, with unknown health background checks, with unknown talents, with unknown financial resources to stay off the system and not steal from us. Yeah, maybe you throw a little bit of a benefit of the doubt to the guy that the deep state has done all of this shit to, but Thomas Massie wouldn't do it because he's the principled conservative. I'm the king of the libertarians, actually. I'm the king. I'm the best, the most holier than thou, pristine voting record. And you go, come on, man. Do you know what fucking time it is? Do you see what's going on? At the same time, they're using backhoes to lift the razor wire gates to let 40 million unvetted potential enemy invaders into this country to strategically position themselves waiting for the go signal. So yeah, I think it's fair for Trump and Trump supporters to look at Thomas Massie and go, come on, dude. Why are you always on the opposing side of MAGA? Now, he's not. Some people will tell you it's 91%. Some people will tell you it's 75% that he votes along those lines. Or maybe they'll twist the language and say, well, it's not along MAGA lines because MAGA is not actually conservative, you see. It's only the libertarians that are conservative because the Republicans have lost their way. We know best. We are best. We are libertarians. I don't know. The truth is somewhere in between these. And I hate it when mom and dad fight. I want Thomas Massie and President Trump working on things together. They agree on a lot of things. I'd like to see that. But when all that stuff has happened, maybe give him the benefit of the doubt. Trash Panda Texas in the House says Massie is not president. Agreed. We're not voting for his policies. Trump is president, and the will of the people want Trump's policies, not yours, Massie. I think there's a lot of Trump supporters that don't want him to be spending so much on the big, beautiful bill. That causes a rift. And I say, when you're fighting the deep state that did that shit, yeah, I want my commander-in-chief to have a fucking war chest. Go get him. They've been building a garbage system to turn us into just bigger and bigger peasants. They want us to be serfs. But when President Trump spends too much money, it causes inflation. And Massie's like, hey, I've always been against inflation. Why are you overspending? The Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, the libertarian wing of the Republican Party, Mike Lee. I mean, there's a laundry list of them. You can't really blame them for saying, well, you're not supporting MAGA. And they go like, we're 37 trillion in debt. Why are we adding more trillions? And then I go, well, because you're fighting the deep state, and they look what they're doing. They've had these budgets on lockdown for a while. And you need resources to counter their resources. It's just, I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Now, speaking of how things play out, Mario Knopfel put this out, and I had this in the stack yesterday, but like I said, I think it was Instagram that glitched, didn't share any of these stories. Florida homeowner goes full send when 3 armed thieves try breaking into his house. He lights them up with an AK-47, hitting all 3.
Bitch, you don't even remember, you don't even know who this is. It came, bitch. Oh, God, I bet I ain't see your ass. Oh, God.
This is a home invasion. 3 men home invaded. The victim runs to a back room where he had a 3rd gun. He picked up that gun, an AK-47 style gun, and he started shooting for his own protection to get them out of his house. So those of you who might ask a question, is the homeowner going to be charged for shooting at these people? Absolutely not. The homeowner is protecting himself, and in Florida, in Escambia County, you can protect yourself.
Bravo, homeowner. I want to know if these punks were arrested. Leave that as a comment. I don't know. But protect your castle. Make sure you have tools. Trash Panda wants to remind us it's not 37 trillion in debt that we owe. It's 37 trillion in fraud. I mean, tomato, potato, right? Dina says, stop non-governmental organizations and Somalian fraud, and we'd have more money. 100% true. Agree, 100%. All right, Benny Johnson says, President Trump is calling for an immediate Department of Justice investigation into Maryland's mail-in ballot system after alleging that 500,000 illegal ballots were sent out and mishandled by the state. Oh, great. Trump says the ballots are tied to policies approved under Maryland Governor Wes Moore and claims Republicans don't have a chance under the current system. More voter fraud from Democrats. Is anyone surprised? Short answer, no. President Trump says in Maryland they sent out 500,000 illegal mail-in ballots and they got caught. So now they're going to send out 500,000 more mail-in ballots, but nobody knows what's happening with the first 500,000 that they sent. In addition, many of these ballots went to Democrats, so any Republican running in Maryland doesn't have a chance. This was done by the corrupt governor of the state, Wes Moore. He allowed this to happen in order to make sure that Democrats win. It never made sense to me that Maryland was considered an automatic Democrat state, but now I see why. I'm sure this has gone on for years. I'm going to ask the Attorney General of the United States and the DOJ to bring an immediate investigation into this situation, President Donald J. Trump. We're going to say, expose it all button. Press the thing if you want to expose it all. Andre says, with all of the corruption, when do we see the warrants executed with handcuffs and charges in jail? That is our rallying cry on this show. Yeah, hoorah, homeowner. Exactly. And that is the way that it should be. Dan says NGOs are WEFers. Tulsi Gabbard's a WEFer, right? That's always a strange thing. Anna Paulina Luna, I like having her in Congress. She says, My American Families Gas Tax Relief Act, H.R. 8795, not only pauses the federal gas and diesel tax for 120 days, but also grants the Treasury Department enforcement authority to ensure the benefit reaches consumers and does not disappear between tax code and gas pump. Yeah, the comment, no American should be paying any taxes with the amount of fraud and money being sent to other countries. Unsung says, remember what the Democrats said, the president does not control gas prices. Another comment. Yeah, great. Now get them to abolish the Federal Reserve and the IRS. Uh-huh. Expose it all but the pine cone. That's a second pine cone reference. What do you mean the pine cone? You mean the pineal gland? Dan says, know thy enemy. Tulsi wanted to know. Maybe. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. Been wondering for a while what's going on. Now, I don't know what the daily source is. But I'm going to double check it because there's so much AI slop. But this is an interesting story. Let's see. Is this a real story? It is a real story, confirmed May 6, 2025. So just about a year ago. The boys were at a nearby park. This guy approaches them, threatens them. What? Beat them and forced them to record the abuse and then took them to a residence, confined in a police pinged the phone. They had substantial injuries. What? Never saw this story ever. It's a year old, but check this out. The phone ping leads cops to 3 boys trapped under a home.
So their son's phone is pinging to this house.
I don't know anything about phone. They probably walked by here.
No, his phone's
Turned it
here.
off. I don't know.
They said they're in the basement, and his phone's pinging to this house. Why were you over there and now over here?
Cause I'm a landscaper.
You're a landscaper?
Yeah.
Here, turn around for me real quick and put your hands behind your back.
Got anything to do with kids, man?
No,
Any
nothing.
kids here?
No, there's no kids at all.
Hey, was this the male your son was with? Okay, go back to your car for me real quick, please.
I need to know where my kids
We're
are.
trying to find them.
This
Ma'am.
for me.
What's that? Are you kidding me?
Come on, guys, step out.
Who's all in there with you guys? Come on, come on. You guys need medical attention at all?
Yes.
What's wrong? What happened to you?
Come on, guys. Come with us. So,
demons walk amongst us. Be prepared. I hadn't seen this story before either. All right, the story was true. I'll give the site a follow. So AirPods and AirTags and stuff like that might not be a bad idea to help track people down. Yes, we don't want to be constantly tracked, but if your kid can get kidnapped like that quickly, significant injuries and held in a crawl space under, like, what are we doing? Just be prepared. All right, let's check in on Spencer Pratt. He's prepared. Kind of likable, kind of votable. Here's his new campaign ad.
Now this is a story all about how my life got.
I wonder if I can play this because it is the Fresh Prince music.
Turned upside down and I had to take a minute to
No more BS. Spencer Pratt for mayor.
run for mayor. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
I want to play this, but it's too much music.
In West Los Angeles, Palisades, my
In West Los Angeles, Palisades.
backyard is where I spent most of my days.
All right, I got to call an audible, but watch it. Spencer Pratt, Fresh Prince. Yeah. Kid abusers should be dealt with the most harshly imaginable.
Feeding hummingbirds, relaxing all cool, avoiding all the bums outside of the school.
Relaxing all cool and avoiding all the bums outside of the school.
When a couple politicians were up to no good.
A couple politicians are up to no good.
Started making trouble in my neighborhood.
Anyway, watch it. I gotta stop, or else I'm gonna get a copyright ding for this whole damn show. All right, so President Trump was up here talking at trumprx.gov to try to find a way to get cheaper drugs to Americans. That's good. Cheaper medicine. Everybody hit the thumbs up button, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend, please. Text them. Invite them in personally. Anyway, with this whole cast of characters on stage, including Mark Cuban to the right, you got Dr. Oz. That's me over there, Bobby Kennedy, with a very smart-fitting suit, as usual. Takes a question from a reporter, gets a pretty funny reply.
It's pretty remarkable seeing you and Mark Cuban up there, and the fact that obviously Mark endorsed Kamala Harris back in 2021.
Well, he made a mistake. It was a big mistake.
What does this say about?
It was a big mistake. He made a mistake. It was a big mistake. Dr. Oz laughing his ass off.
What you two are building here?
Well, it says we love people. We love our country. He's got a good company, and he's going to do a lot of business with this. And I'm going to get drugs out through Amazon. Through
President.
It's just you put aside your personal whatever and get work done. Seems like Thomas Massie sort of bought into the Trump derangement hysteria, thinking the Epstein list is going to take Trump out. Or just with my blinders on, I'm going to keep pushing on Epstein. And either there's a whole bunch of stuff that's not there that's supposed to be, or there's not a lot there. Either way, you've been helping the Democrats for about 1.5 years, Thomas Massie. Well, right is right. I can't argue with that. And it is right to let that information out. But if a lot of it was selectively curated to try to frame members of the Trump administration in a mutually assured destruction after 4 years of Biden, what do you think was left in the files? Bunch of happy horseshit? From the deep state team that indicted him, what was it, 81 times, 91 times? Or charged him 81, 91 times? Something like that. At some point, you look around, you go, I've swung past 6 o'clock. I'm on the side of these crazy Democrats. Maybe I should recalibrate a bit. Anyway, President Trump is like, all right, Cuban made a mistake, but he's got a good company and we're working together and we're going to do a lot of good things to help people, help Americans. Back to helping Americans. I don't need to agree with you 100% of the time, but we can, where we overlap on the Venn diagram, let's get some stuff done. I know Trump is so funny. It's just like, you can't teach it. These are like questions that, you don't see coming.
It's pretty remarkable seeing you and Mark Cuban up there, and the fact that obviously Mark endorsed Kamala Harris back in 2021.
Well, he made a mistake. It was a big mistake.
But what does this say about what you two are building?
Funniest president we've ever seen. What's up, Ms. Ruthie? How are you? Where are you watching us from? We love to know where people are tuning in from. Someone check in with Canadian David, by the way. Haven't seen him yet. He'll be in soon, I suppose. All right, Jim Brewer. Jim Brewer's fun to watch. His posts have gotten very interesting. I suggest you follow him. I think he's talking about, could they try something catastrophic, since the Democrats are just going to get absolutely mollywopped in these primaries, or in these upcoming midterms.
Anyone out there afraid of what's coming or what they're pushing? What
is it? Hanta?
The mass?
Is it the ticks?
Monsters are pushing. Every day is another big distraction. You still believe this new virus? This new virus is being pushed by everyone that already got caught with their pants down.
Mm-hmm. But Fauci avoids justice. He evades justice so far.
And in my opinion, we're not telling the 100% truth. And I don't know anyone that's really buying into it. Is anyone out?
Are you buying into it? I'm not particularly buying into it, no. No, I'm not.
Bet you didn't.
All right. This is I. Wenster. I don't know. I don't remember this story, why I shared this.
Let's see this.
Okay. So either this video is accurately zooming in on a point from the Charlie Kirk assassination, or it's misrepresenting it. I can't tell anymore.
Dan Flood and Mikey McCoy.
Mikey McCoy, Dan Flood, right there.
Lock eyes. Look at them look at each other. Moments before Charlie's about to be killed. Mikey raises his phone close up to his face and can be seen to visibly be interacting with it in some way. He briefly looks up, puts it back under his arm. Dan Flood gives a little head dip, nod, looks over at Mikey, moves his head back, raises his arm, gives the signal. Boom. Charlie's dead. Mikey immediately raises the phone.
How many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Anytime I have a lot of empirical evidence there, it's 5. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Counting.
Yes. So until that can be explained to me, and until it can actually be explained in a way that it makes sense, this was absolutely an inside job, and the official narrative is utter bullcrap. Until somebody can explain.
There's a lot of people concerned that whatever show trial is going to happen in Utah is not going to properly address what actually happened. I don't know.
Explain why they looked at each other exactly when they did, why the hand signals and just all of the things seem to be perfectly aligned with them signaling each other for some reason. Why Mikey has his phone like coming up right before Charlie gets shot and then immediately ready to jump on it without even looking at what happens with Charlie. He just jumps on the phone, turns around, walks the other direction. Until all of that can be explained, I don't care who Dan Flood is. I don't care who knows him and who thinks he's clean. I don't care what he says. I don't care what Mikey says. I don't care what anybody says. But I'm open to hearing from somebody who would like to explain why all of those things happened and how it's just a complete coincidence that all of that happened right before Charlie Kirk is shot. I'm open to it, but so far nobody's been able to explain it to me. And that is why I still believe that Charlie Kirk was assassinated and was taken out for the reason of him being opposed to basically everything that's happening right now. Coincidentally, including everything that's happening with Thomas Massie.
My favorite members of Congress. He loves the Constitution. He loves liberty. He's honest and he's tough, and he's going to really go after the intel agencies. It's Thomas Massie, who's just terrific from Kentucky.
Yeah. They took him out because he was going to be the greatest opposition and had the power to rally the two youngest generations against everything that's happening right now. But hey, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
All right. Handy Mom says, months later, and I'm still so profoundly sad about Charlie's murder, seemingly even more sad than those closest to him. He deserved better. It's all so sad and disappointing. Tell me in the chat, who do you think took Charlie out and why? Yeah, sorry, Charlie. All right, I guess Pete Hegseth, you can add him to the list, does a pretty good Trump impersonation.
President Trump told me when he first offered me this job, he said, Pete, you're gonna have to be tough as shit. Sorry. He did. You ready? They're gonna come after you. And boy, was he right. He was right. But that's also what Ed represents.
It's pretty good Trump.
President Trump told me when he first offered me this job.
He starts laughing in advance because he knows he's going to do it.
He said, Pete, you're going to have to be tough as shit.
Pretty funny. All right, so what are we doing to prevent ticks? What are we doing to prevent them? I need to plant more stuff around the property. I don't want stuff wandering over. Peer-reviewed paper published last year in the Journal of Bioethics by two professors at Western Michigan University School of Medicine argue that it's morally obligatory to genetically engineer ticks to spread alpha-gal syndrome, a permanent condition that makes you violently ill when eating red meat. That's from TFTC. Path to Manliness says, my argument is biological warfare is morally wrong, and the people who write this and peer review it should be locked up with the rest of the clinically insane. The paper is called Beneficial Blood Sucking. Their argument, if eating meat is morally wrong, then preventing the spread of a disease that forces people to stop eating meat is also morally wrong. Scientists should gene edit Lone Star ticks to enhance their ability to carry alpha-gal syndrome and expand their range into urban environments to infect more people. They call this a moral bioenhancer. They frame releasing genetically modified disease-carrying ticks as a vaccination that only infringes on your bodily autonomy rather than violating it. Alpha-gal syndrome is not mild. CDC estimates 450,000 Americans already poisoned. Don't say affected, poisoned. Cases have surged 100-fold in the last decade. Symptoms include anaphylaxis. There is no cure. Alpha-gal cases are exploding across the U.S. Lone Star tick range is expanding far beyond historical territory. And two academics at a medical school published a paper arguing that this is a good thing that should be accelerated. At what point do we stop treating papers like this as fringe academic exercises and start asking whether anyone is already acting on them? We need all hands on deck to stop this. And I'd like to see Bobby Kennedy chime in. It shows how the tick range is moving. It's going all across. It used to be the southeast. Now it's all past the Mississippi. It just looks like a contagion. It's no good. Here's a bad story. Let me see if this is confirmed. This one out of England. When you let people sneak into your country, you have no idea what their intentions are. You can assume they're at least trespassers. They don't really, they're already off on a bad foot. Just double checking to see if this story, by the way, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. Reminder that you have Rumble rant tips, super chat tips, and you can sign up to become a monthly sponsor on Patreon, YouTube, and Rumble here for the New American Media. All right, they're still thinking about my request. Is the story true? Jeez. Yes, a real verified story. All right. Raging dissident says 14-year-old German boy was beheaded by a Muslim refugee. In the photo, he proudly wears his father's hard hat, yellow safety vest, safety goggles. His hero was Bob the Builder, and construction sites had fascinated him since he was a child. Now Jermaine, 14 years old, from Memmingen, has been caged in a building slated for demolition by violence to the neck. Entered an empty house where a air quote refugee from Palestina, what is that? Is that Palestine? Was housing. Oh, so somebody was squatting in the empty house where he went in to see the construction. And he beheaded the kid. Killer managed to escape from the police 2 times. When he was surrounded by police, he attacked them with a knife and was shot and eliminated. German media is really silent about this. This is the country. This is the country that we're living in, where our youth get their head cut off by illegal alien Muslim attackers. A rejected asylum seeker. He went missing May 2, body found in an abandoned building near the train station, May 3 to 4. 37-year-old Abu Quash from Judea, Samaria. His asylum application had been rejected, but he was still trespassing in Germany long enough to kill a 14-year-old boy. Awesome. Maybe we should not let people invade our countries. The guy who was rejected as an asylum seeker stayed in Germany, a tolerated stay called Duldung, after authorities were unable to deport him due to unresolved identity and documentation issues. Oh, so there's unresolved identity and documentation issues. So I guess you just get to stay then. No. Germany, you have fallen. He previously came to police attention over unlawful stay and property damage offenses. During the arrest attempt, he attacked officers and was shot dead by the police. Okay. So be careful walking into... Be careful walking into abandoned houses. Okay? Okay. Here's Alex Jones talking about the tick issue.
Clips.
Weird stuff.
Well, I'm out here mushroom hunting and I found, there it is right there, the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. I know there is.
Throw it in the bag.
Look at them crawling out of it.
Put it in the
Millions
bag.
of them. You can see the ticks.
Did we actually use ticks as bioweapons?
Yes, it's actually in CIA documents that have been declassified. For instance, infected ticks were deployed from C-130s flying low over sugarcane fields in Cuba back in the day under President Kennedy. There is abundant evidence of the testing, field testing, of infected ticks and other insects in a variety of settings. In the United States and elsewhere, clearly USAMRIID was involved, and in particular the Plum Island facility that had been a biowarfare investigative facility up in Manhattan, Long Island region, and then was transferred over to USDA, was involved in a lot of this research. It also involved infected mosquitoes, and deployed infected mosquitoes and a number of other things.
Here's the clips.
Get RFK Jr. on this tick case ASAP. As always, tell me what you're experiencing with ticks in the comments. Anthony Pompliano says there's a growing movement of common sense Americans who are tired of inept political leaders, wasteful government spending, and a lack of public safety in their local community. They will defeat the bureaucrat class by using the internet to expose the absurd incompetence. I agree. I don't know who this guy is. Russell Brand shared this. DC Drano shared it. This is a guy who's saying that he was bitten by a tick and he is suffering massively.
Look at my face and my neck. I can't eat red meat anymore. I can't have any animal byproducts in anything. And it's in everything. This is alpha-gal syndrome. This is fucked up, man. Fuck ticks. I love to go hiking. This is fucking crazy. Look at my face and my neck.
450,000 Americans allergic to beef and dairy now. The number's rising. That's the report. Is it accurate? I don't know. But a lot of people are talking about it. The Blaze says MSNBC, MS Now, is beyond parody. Take a listen to this. I don't even want to set it up. Just enjoy this 4-panel conversation.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our creator, and Heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
Tell me you don't know anything about the Declaration of Independence without telling me you don't know anything about the Declaration of Independence. Oh my God. The belief in a supreme being, a higher power, is what creates the guidelines, the rule book of this country. It's because we were endowed by our creator with certain unalienable rights that cannot be taken from us by any prince or potentate or king or queen or elected official. You cannot pass laws repugnant to our Bill of Rights. Our creator granted us this. And it's our belief in that creator that allows us to believe that with our whole hearts and to create the documents that back that opinion up. She thinks she found a gotcha.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our creator, and Heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
I was really hoping we could hear the gobbledygook reply. But yeah, that's what's up. What's up, Ortho? Everybody hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend, invite your peeps in here as we talk about the things going on in the news. Thomas Massie, Alpha Gal Ticks. I think I got a Luigi story coming up. Look, I'm torn on the Thomas Massie thing. Thomas Massie does follow the New American Media. Reach out a couple of times to get him booked for an interview. Haven't had the chance to set that up yet. But Charlie Kirk had thoughts on Thomas Massie. And if you try to silence Charlie Kirk, I'm going to play Charlie Kirk when I find Charlie Kirk. And here he is talking about Thomas Massie in no uncertain terms. Thomas Massie.
Thomas Massie, my favorite members of Congress. He loves the Constitution. He loves liberty. He's honest and
there's music in the background. It's from like Interstellar.
He's tough, and he's going to really go after the intel agencies.
So it sounds like Charlie Kirk had given his full unwavering support to Thomas Massie.
Just terrific from Kentucky. Thomas Massie.
So it's D-Day. Let's see how it goes. Question of the day, QOTD. Tell me in the comments. Would you vote for Thomas Massie, or would you vote for the person that President Trump is running against Thomas Massie? If you got to vote in that election, which one would you pick? Curious. I think I know what Lake Leon's going to say. All right. Make sure that you're following the New American Media on X. We're at American_media_. It says, from sports to spirituality, comedy to Congress, and freedom to firearms, seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun, join the mostly civil conversation. So yes, please join the mostly civil conversation. In sports, by the way, double overtime, San Antonio Spurs victory over the number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Go figure. Tonight, game 1, Cavaliers, Knicks, Cleveland versus New York, Eastern Conference Championship. I'm excited. Lake Leon, question of the day. He is never messy. Hashtag never messy. Trash Panda. Massie might have time for an interview after today. Or he's going to end up on CNN. I don't know. Marjorie Taylor Greene gone. Thomas Massie, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Pinned right here to the top of our X feed is our Patreon account. If you would like to become a subscriber, please do so. It's like $5 or $10 a month. It's super appreciated, super helpful, super needed. I meme, therefore I am, put this out. It says healthcare workers are now out here joining the Young Ho TikTok challenge, enthusiastically shaking their tits for the camera like dollar store strippers on their lunch break. Congratulations, ladies. You didn't just degrade yourselves as professionals. You nuked whatever dignity women in medicine have left. This isn't empowerment. It's straight ghetto behavior that turns educated women into cheap sexual entertainment. Nothing says trust me with your life quite like watching your nurse twerk her chest on the clock. Pathetic. Hey, but remember, men are the problem. I was unfamiliar with this trend, so let's take a look.
68+1, then we flip-flop.
Gotta mute it. But them boobies bouncing. Oh, it's a lot of nurses apparently. Look at it. Look at this lady in the back though. She's going, "The hell's wrong with you?" She's like, I ain't doing that. This lady on the left is going to keep her job, maybe. She's going, what is wrong with you? I didn't know this was a trend. Has anyone been sick in the hospital lately? Did you have somebody bouncing their dem boobs on you? Oh, boy. All right. Let me try to understand this. A human being, what's up, a human being? Can you remind me where you watch from? I know you watch and you occasionally post. Thanks for being here. Israel lobby total, $11 million. Then you said Ed Galrain. Okay, I'm just trying to double check. So I asked, who would you vote for? You're saying you would vote for Ed Galrain? And are you also saying that the Israel lobby gave Ed Galrain roughly $12 million? Because Massie doesn't take the AIPAC money. That's like one of the big things. Somehow Israel is determining what's happening in a local Kentucky election. Trash Panda, no, that hasn't happened to me, but I will plan to get sick. I mean, ooh, my finger hurts so much. Ah. Help, help. Ah. Anyway. All right, Elon calls this insane. Rothmus put this out from GBN. UK primary schools are teaching 7-year-olds that they're born with white privilege. They're indoctrinating infants with race guilt, and that's pure child abuse dressed as anti-racism. Elon calls it insane. So do I. Ortho says, my wife and daughter are RNs, and they have more class than to participate in this tomfoolery. Yes. Oh, okay. Texas. Hold on. Did President Trump endorse? Here, let's take a listen. Eric Daughtry put this video clip out about President Trump discussing the race. Oh, look at all the construction here at the White House. They are well underway. Is this their bunker? Okay, Cornyn and Paxton.
But I think MAGA's never been more together, actually.
He says, I think MAGA's never been more together, actually. I don't know if I buy that, but he's saying it, and that's... A leader needs to constantly be reframing things. Don't let the media drive wedges between them.
I'm going to be making an endorsement today in Texas. I'm going to be putting out an endorsement in a little while in Texas, the great state. You know, I won Texas all 6 times, meaning primaries and the race, and I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, and I love Texas, but I'm going to be making a endorsement at about 12:30, 1 o'clock today.
12:30, 1 o'clock. It's already past that. Do we have the endorsement?
For the big race, the Senate race in Texas, and I hope you find it good. So I do think, I mean, I appreciate the question, but...
Okay. Let me ask Grok. Did Trump endorse Texas? Or is that 1:30, 1 o'clock Texas time, which would be Central? Trump endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over incumbent Senator John Cornyn in the Republican U.S. Senate runoff. This has drawn reactions from Senate Republicans, with some expressing disappointment. Okay. Breaking news. All right. Trump endorsement Texas. Let's grab a story on that. Ken Paxton, Attorney General Ken Paxton, I'm incredibly honored to have President Trump's complete and total endorsement. No one has ever fought harder for the American people than President Trump, and I look forward to championing his America First agenda in the Senate. Texas, get out and vote. It's official. Trump endorses Paxton in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. John Cornyn is doomed. Okay. How do we feel about that, chat? Marion says, oh, sweet. I'm breaking news to you today. My gosh, more pine cone talk. Are we talking about the pineal gland? Why do we keep talking about pine cones? Voting started yesterday. Okay. Yeah, he did pick Paxton. Look at that. Cornyn is a rhino. Paxton is a bulldog. Holy smokes, thank God. Thank you, President Trump. Don't vote Chip Roy. Look, guys, this is massive. Not just for Massie. Cycling out the rhino garbage is going to pay massive dividends for MAGA. Massive. I mean, with this barely majority, and you have Murkowski and these other dopes clogging things up, you got to cycle as many rhinos out and get MAGA members in. 100% certain of that. All right, well, good. Check that out. I suspected we were going to have that happen, but now we know. And there is a rumor that President Trump and John Thune are on the same page. It's why President Trump, when asked, will basically only say that John Thune's a great guy. Maybe they're waiting to do the Save America Act. I don't know why. Maybe they're going to have President Trump try to pull an executive order, and then if that fails, then push it. I don't know how it's going to play out, but President Trump doesn't seem to be angry enough at John Thune for blocking his recess appointments and for not pushing the Save America Act. Trump seems angrier at Thomas Massie than he does with John Thune, which is a little curious. So we shall see. Check out yesterday's show. England grows a spine? ? Will Thomas Massie survive Trump's attacks? And Pope AOC? Yeah, I didn't get to Pope AOC yesterday because I think it was on the Instagram. All right. Luigi Mangione has had a ruling. So let's check in here. New York Post. Supporters line up ahead of Luigi Mangione's ruling.
Is that why you wrote the article about Canada as well? Leave us alone. If you want to be left alone, leave us alone. You do it first. You do it first. You do it first.
Luigi Mangione supporters, allegedly. Let's hear about what the judge did in this case.
One last time so that we're all on the same page here. What is in and what is out?
Yeah, we have more clarification now on what is in and what is out. What is out, what the jury will not learn about, the bullet magazine. That's the magazine that full of bullets that Officer Christy Wasser found wrapped in wet underwear, because that was found in the backpack at McDonald's. The backpack was 9 feet away at another table placed there by a police officer. Therefore, Judge Carroll found that was not in the control of Mangione, and that was an illegal search because there was no search warrant at that time for that backpack. The cell phone that he had.
Okay, wait. But if a random backpack is found at a McDonald's, it could be deemed suspicious, and you'd have to open it up to determine the items inside. This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
His passport, his wallet, and a computer chip that Christy Wasser, police officer Wasser, found at the McDonald's. She then takes the backpack an 11-minute or so ride to the police station. He's arrested. They start going through the backpack. She finds the gun. She finds a diary. That will be allowed in. The red diary will be allowed in, and the weapon will be allowed in.
How can you let some of this in but not other stuff?
The judge in his ruling points out that the diary was opened, that police officers, for inventory purposes, photographed every page of the diary as they took that in. So obviously the judge has ruled that that was a legal search at the police station, which include those items. So that's why we're basically saying, I think Jonathan Turley is right. It's kind of a half victory, half win. Something's out, but most importantly, it appears now that the diary will be allowed in, and the weapon, the 9mm gun that police say was used to kill Brian Thompson, will be allowed in.
Kind of weird. Josh says judge handed Luigi a major legal win, blocking the jury from key evidence found inside the backpack. Judge agreed after the initial search conducted on a table inside the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, was unlawful. It was no longer within Mangione's immediate control or grabbable area because there were no exigent circumstances such as immediate threat. No. You find a suspicious backpack, especially after the Boston Marathon bombing. Remember? You have terrorists like Luigi Mangione and the people in Boston. You find backpacks, you investigate. How weird. Is this
One
the
last
same
time,
clip?
so that we're all on the
144. Here, let's check this out.
Judge Caro says that search was illegal. He apparently, in his ruling, says that was not proper because there wasn't a search warrant at that time. So he has ruled that the items found in the backpack...
It's a suspicious, unattended backpack. Anyone worth their salt would investigate.
At the McDonald's will not be included in the trial, and those include the bullet magazine, a magazine full of bullets that Officer Wasser found, as well as a journal, a cell phone, a passport, a chip. So it's the bullet magazine, his cell phone, his passport, his wallet, and a computer chip will not be allowed into evidence. What then happened was Wasser turned off the body camera, drove 11 minutes to the police station, and that's when Mangione was processed. And as part of that inventory, Officer Wasser found the gun, a handmade 9mm weapon.
Handmade 9mm weapon.
Apparently, under this ruling, that will be allowed to be in the trial, that the gun, the weapon that police say was used to kill Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, will be allowed into evidence. But what is not being allowed is, as I've said, the magazine full of bullets, as well as some of the other items that Mangione had. It was a fascinating suppression hearing that went on for about 2 weeks here, as the defense has gone through every point with like a toothpick, challenging every single step that police officers made, arguing that when they were talking to Mangione at the McDonald's, that it was illegal. They did not have a search warrant. Under the law, they pointed out that if you can grab something, police have the right to go through it, so that they don't want you to lunge in something and grab a gun or something. But if it is not in your control, then they don't have a right to go through it.
I couldn't disagree with this more. An unattended backpack in today's day and age, especially in the location where he was arrested at the McDonald's. If he already committed an assassination, who's to say he couldn't put an IED? That wasn't an unreasonable search and seizure. They tell you at the airports, please report unattended luggage. I don't know. This seems ridiculous.
They have a search warrant, and Judge Carroll ruled that because the backpack was moved 9 feet away from Mangione, it was placed on a table. That meant that the backpack was not effectively in Mangione's control. So because he did not have control over the backpack, it was illegal at that point.
I just disagree with this analysis.
For police to go through his backpack and search it without a search warrant, in which Christy Wasser, the police officer, found the bullet magazine and then rummaged through it for other items. Only later at the police station, when they were taking the inventory, did they find the weapon, the 9mm that police say they was used to kill Brian Thompson. So we'll see how this all goes down. This is in complete contrast to what the federal judge ruled. The federal judge allowed everything in.
You probably should have allowed everything in.
This is kind of a half victory, but somewhat of a victory nonetheless for Luigi Mangione, except, of course, for the key item of evidence, and that would seem to be the weapon.
Just a strange scenario. But here's a different take on it. Jack Posobiec here with Will Chamberlain, saying that the Luigi Mangione latest ruling isn't all bad.
Ruling isn't all bad in the sense that there was a notebook in the ruling in the backpack that was found that's admitted in the state court case, and the reason being the notebook itself wasn't open.
To be clear to the audience, yes, that and that was my first when I first saw the headlines start coming in from the ruling, I said, don't tell me that they excluded the manifesto, because that would just be crazy.
They've got the manifesto.
But they are in fact including the manifesto and the gun.
So with those two things, I don't think Mangione is suddenly getting off, right? I think those are, like, if you're talking about the two core pieces of evidence, that would be the murder weapon and the evidence of intent. Those are pretty important pieces. If you have those two things, you're in pretty good shape as far as I can tell. So my suspicion is that, like, he's still going to get convicted in the state court case, but it does really connect to a sort of broader question. And I think federal law is just generally more sensible, and probably because federal law has been supervised by a federal Supreme Court that has often been very conservative, and especially on criminal procedure. So it doesn't try and, like, create gotcha situations and ticky-tacky rules violations lead to injustices. I think that's the general thrust of federal law. So, and that certainly in this case, that's you can really see a crystal clear difference between how New York law works and how federal law works in terms of excluding evidence. Like, the federal result is just obvious and intuitive. Like, of course, this stuff would have been found. The police officer making a small mistake does not mean that this evidence needs to go away. All this stuff would have been found. I
don't consider it to be a small mistake. An unattended unattended backpack, unintended circumstances, unattended backpack. Hold on. There could be a real big problem here. We just had an assassination around the corner, or close proximity. Oh, we got this guy that did it that's getting arrested. Is it ticking like the Boston Marathon, where you put a pressure cooker inside of a backpack? I believe it was a backpack by a trash can. No, you have every right to open that.
And Will, to your point, there are even on the, I guess he may have had the magazine separate from the gun. He said, so the magazine has been excluded, but the gun is not excluded. It's like, well, I mean, come on.
Right. Again, it's like form over substance, I think, is a good way of describing what's happening at the New York state level. And also probably their doctrine facilitates this, because they have, I just read that they have a very interesting quirk on the inevitable discovery rule. They have one, but they say the inevitable discovery rule can't be used to save the primary evidence obtained from the search. It only can save secondary evidence obtained as a result of further police investigation. And it's sort of like, what? Okay, why?
Yeah, right. Just all sorts of confusing. I'm open to interpretation, but I
Judge
definitely don't
Caro
understand
says
it.
that
Page here.
All right, let's keep going. Steve Baker has a theory that Dan Bongino left the FBI because he suffered or is suffering a mental breakdown. Does he know that? No. Does he exhibit the signs? Yes. It's a video together with 180 contradictions. Anyway, not going to play it, but scrolling past it. Colt Maccabee pardoned, received a presidential pardon. There's too many stories of gross injustice against J6 defendants. Colts was one of the most egregious. I think I shared 3 things or 4 things from Steve Baker. Multiple sources confirm that Capitol Police knew what was coming on J6 and at the very least did nothing to prevent it, probably even worse. J6 whistleblower reveals explosive text messages allegedly showing Capitol Police insiders withholding intelligence, allowing the chaos to unfold and using J6 to target President Trump and remove Chief Stephen Sund. This is the Steve Baker post about Thomas Massie. You can agree with him, you can disagree with him. Steve Baker, USA, says, I have no delusions that I might have enough on-the-fence Kentuckians who follow my account that I can affect the primary election between Massie, Thomas Massie, and Ed Galbraith today with anything I have to say. The only thing that's assured is a few hundred people who otherwise agree with me 95+% of the time will quit following me, and a handful of those will call me a traitor or some otherwise vulgar phrase on the way out. As I've always said since the beginning of the Trump era, circa 2015, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, is a double-edged sword, cutting both ways. Both his haters and his most ardent supporters often behave and react to Trump's words and deeds with total suspension of logic and reason. It's truly the most unique political phenomenon in my lifetime. Some of us who have supported Trump in 1, 2, or even 3 elections still have the ability to call individual balls and strikes on his policy positions and actions. We can actually disagree with the president 10% or even 50% of the time while still acknowledging how superior his overall administration is to the horrifying specter of another Biden or Obama in the White House. Having and stating those differences does not make me or Massie a traitor. As has been recently pointed out, one can prefer Massie's policy positions while still supporting Trump, but TDS cuts both ways. So for a large percentage of MAGA, that rationale is incomprehensible. And speaking of the math and percentages, you've heard it claimed that Massie votes with Trump and the party 90% of the time. Let me better define Massie's voting record. Massie votes with the president and the GOP caucus more often than does the 90+% of all the other GOP congressional members. Let that sink in. He's often labeled as a libertarian, also votes according to conservative principles more often than, well, almost any other Congress member. Many have forgotten what conservative values and votes are in the Trump era. To quote Ronald Reagan, if you analyze it, I believe the very heart and soul of conservatism is libertarianism. The basis of conservatism is a desire for less government interference or less centralized authority or more individual freedom. And this is a pretty general description also of what libertarianism is. If Massie votes with the president and his own party more often than does the 90+% of the rest of the GOP members, and that math is correct, then where is the ire of the president against those other members? If you're MAGA, why is your own ire in social media political criticisms not focused on these GOP congressional creeps who vote with the president far less often than does Massie? Why? Because TDS is a double-edged sword. So the math and logic don't matter if Trump tells you it doesn't matter. To my friends and supporters in Kentucky, it is possible to vote for Thomas Massie today and not be a traitor to the principles of MAGA as they were defined to us during the 2024 election season. In fact, Massie's voting record in just the last year better reflects what Trump told us were MAGA values than how Trump has since directed his current administration. Massie for Kentucky and America. That was Steve Baker. And we're asking if that's a fair take. Several people have pointed out that this MAGA administration is a little less MAGA than they said they were going to be. Indeed, in votes, in appropriations, and such. Talking about the Boston Marathon, that they had a backpack of a pressure cooker full of nuts and bolts and screws and nails located next to a trash can. Trash Panda, Texas. I love trash cans. Yes, the Trash Pandas, our raccoon buddies. Oh, that Trash Panda moment was so good. If you know, you know. Yeah, Dina says that guy seems to have the receipts. Steve Baker, he's a regular, I believe, isn't he a regular contributor to The Blaze? Maybe. Am I confusing him with somebody else? I mean, he's laying out a case. Trash Panda says, no, that guy talking about pro Massie sounds like he has TDS. And yeah, in actuality, Massie a lot of times does nothing to stop Biden, nothing to stop Harris, nothing to stop the Democrats from blocking the MAGA agenda. And they need to get things done in order to get things done. And if getting things done is violating my constitutional principles, I will never support anything that isn't perfect. Well, if you're only seeking perfection, good luck finding it, because it's not really a thing. Okay, yeah, he was with the Blaze. Yes, okay. I do vaguely recall. Anthony Bradley says Clemson is $1.5 billion in or pausing 93 programs. I don't know if this is all true. UNC Chapel Hill plans to cut spending by $89 million over 3 years. Duke let 600 employees go in a $350 million budget cut. Indiana Public Colleges announced a plan to eliminate or merge 580 programs statewide. Comments like most levels of government, there's a huge bloat at colleges and universities. All are top heavy with administrative people doing very little to benefit the institution that employs them. So we'll see. Is this a real post from Julian Assange? Perhaps. Is it AI? I don't know. Let's assume it's real.
Archives of information have been centralized on computers. The Guardian's archives are only in one place. They're not in libraries all across the nation that people look for. They're only looked for on the internet.
We've digitized everything, and now guess what? That'd be pretty easy to change in real time, wouldn't it?
And because of copyright legislation, they're not copied elsewhere to other places on the internet.
Oh, so the copyright's going to be used against the individual pieces of work.
So when something disappears from the archives, the electronic archives of the West, to which all information is moving into, it is gone forever. It has not only ceased to have existed, it has ceased to have ever have existed. And when you go to those web pages that have been removed from Western papers, you won't see the tail lines. You will just see page not found. You won't see anything in the index at all.
That's why I'm a big fan of physical media, music, movies. Oh, it's on Netflix. Huh? You're not Netflix. That stuff disappears. It's gone forever. Like if you don't have a copy of it.
We are now approaching the state of Orwell's dictum, perfect dictum, that he who controls the present controls the past. He who controls internet servers controls the intellectual record of mankind, and by controlling that, controls our perceptions of who we are, and by controlling that, controls what laws and regulations we make in society.
Very interesting. That is a key concept of the story that I'm working on. Moon Saloon. Illuminati bot says Julian Assange warned us. Digital archives let them erase history with one click. One day it's page not found. The next it never happened. They control what you remember. Save physical books. Archive offline. Don't trust the cloud. This is how 1984 wins. Scott Jennings here talking about Charlie Kirk at Hillsdale College.
Think about what they teach our kids in schools and universities across this country. That America was founded on racism.
Nope.
That our country is rotten at its core.
Nope.
That capitalism is evil.
Nope.
That hard work is for suckers.
No.
That merit is a dirty word.
No.
That the nuclear family is oppressive, especially to women. That faith is for idiots and rubes from places like Dawson Springs, Kentucky. Is it any wonder that Charlie spent his life trying to reach young people on college campuses? He saw what was happening. I think when the shooter pulled the trigger in Utah, he thought he was ending a movement. He thought if he could kill someone like Charlie Kirk, he could kill what Charlie stood for. That the rest of us would get the message, that we would heed the warning. Silence yourselves, or we will do it for you.
No, we did the opposite.
That's what they thought.
Wrong.
But in trying to silence one voice, I believe they've created thousands. And in trying to end one conversation, they have started millions.
Amen.
Ultimately.
Yeah. Orwell in Newspeak, says Marion. Yeah. In Newspeak is no speak. Intimidation into silence. That's what they did during Biden. If you talked about the 2020 selection, if you talked about J6 not being an insurrection, if you talked about the jab, coronavirus, the potentially intentional lab release from China, you were silenced off the internet. And an independent content creator like myself, stealing all of my revenue, my income, my ability to grow, that took a dent. That took a bite. That knocked me off my feet. I'm not silent. I'm going. Yeah, I'm a little behind the eight ball, trying to get caught up. I wish we would have had more organic growth by now. That's for damn sure. But we're still facing legacy restrictions on our account for sure. Yeah, you don't shut Charlie up. You create a million of us. Because there's a million of us just like me, who talk like me, who just don't give a F like me, who cuss like me, who something and just might be the next best thing, but not quite me. I almost got that. Because I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady.
Thought. But in trying to silence one voice, I believe they've created thousands. And in trying to end one conversation, they have started millions.
Agree.
Ultimately, what Charlie stood for was faith and freedom. And here's the thing about those two items. You can't kill them. You can try to suppress it, and throughout our history, people have tried to silence it, but they always find a way, like water finding cracks in a dam.
Yeah. Agree. Check out the Chicago woman mocking Democrats. That just enjoy this. I'm just gonna let this.
The reality is that
Oh, is it? Oh, it's pretty quiet.
black people's voting is not in danger, and you know it's not.
Can you hear this okay? It seems quiet on my side. She's saying black people voting is not in danger.
The reality is this. Black people's voting is not in danger, and you know it's not.
And you know it's not.
And you know it's not. I'm 63 years old. I've been voting since I was 18. I have never had a problem voting. Now, that may apply to my mother and father. It applies to my grandparents. Surely it does. And in fact, because it does, every single person in this room, including that Jewish lady that just got up and talked, need to really be thanking us. Really need to be thanking us for getting y'all the right to vote, for getting y'all the right to be here, instead of sitting up here manipulating the Voting Rights Act like something's getting ready to happen to our right to vote, when you know that's not true. So now you all gonna drag black people in here, definitely some senior citizens, and gonna have them come up here and talk about how they scared to vote, how this messed up their right to vote, women need to vote, all that junk, when you know it's not true. Just like you sit up here and make like black people can't get IDs. Us requiring IDs to vote, it's gonna stop black people from voting. Why black people ain't got IDs?
Mm-hmm.
See, you all get more and more ridiculous. But you can't, in this room full of these black people, talk about that federal case that just got filed Monday that's talking about how you all are stealing property at Cook County sales. Where the black people in here? Raise your hand that if they told you to come in here to talk about how your property got stolen. Where you at? Huh? Because we got commissioners in here that know for a fact it's happening. Catskill, you know it's happening. Lori, you know it's happening. Michael Scott, you know it's happening. Lamont Williams, come on, you give up cases for the county. You know it's happening. Donna Miller, you know what's happening. Well, come on, y'all black people that they in here with these 501c3s, that they got y'all in here talking for them. Why y'all ain't in here talking about how they stealing our property?
1 minute.
Where y'all at? Come on, because y'all getting ready to come up here to this mic and lie for the cameras to say that black people's voting is done by this Louisiana thing and Donald Trump and the Trump administration, when Donald Trump is in front of the Supreme Court right now fighting for the 14th Amendment, saying that black people, that amendment was for black people.
30 seconds.
Not for birthrights, not for people to anchor themselves over here illegally. And they got y'all black people in here getting ready to talk against him. I mean, y'all real sick up in the head. You sick in the head and more sicker in your spirit. This is insane.
Time has expired for the speaker. Next
Y'all
speaker,
crazy.
Taiwan Sim.
It's crazy. I liked her perspective. That was pretty nice. President Trump says, I've been asked by the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to hold off on our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow. In that serious negotiations are now taking place, and that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made, which will be very acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all countries in the Middle East and beyond. So President Trump just kind of keeps saying, hey, that massive attack that we're ready to launch, we'll hold off on it for a second. It's negotiation. Trash Panda says, this lady is solid. Yeah, just honest, you know? What's this? Texas Mornings Unplugged. Follow his account on Rumble. Everybody follow on Rumble. Go Paxton, go. Thank you, President Trump. And a $20 Rumble rant tip. Here, let's throw it in the tip jar. Wait, hold on. How do I got to throw it over there or over my shoulder. That's how it. Thank you. Clank. Thank you for the Rumble rant tip. Appreciate you. And yeah, go Paxton, go. Thank you, President Trump. So basically what President Trump has done here is he's got all these Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I don't know, am I missing another nation here? But basically, he's built a coalition to just kind of say, look, you're surrounded. Let's resolve this. Let's get back on track. And it's good that you have the support of the neighbors. That's for sure. This deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran. Based on my respect for the above-mentioned leaders surrounding Arab nations, I've instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General David Raisin Kane in the United States military, that we will not be doing the scheduled attack of Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full large-scale assault of Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. It's how you negotiate. And I'm all about getting some peace over there. Let's check in on how things are going in Chicago.
First, second on the nose, and the third.
Ouch.
3 blows to the face with a gun. Maria Velasquez recalls the attack she experienced while at this Family Dollar in Albany Park.
Attacked at a Family Dollar. Ortho says never leave your cave without your club.
Last weekend. Her bruises are undeniable.
My physical is not good. And me and the health is too much pain.
The pain is much deeper than the scars. Maria tells me right after opening the store, 2 men, one with a gun, walked in demanding money from the safe and registers.
I know kids is the first and the gun.
And he immediately hit you with the gun?
Yes.
The man accused of striking her 3 times with a gun, causing her injuries.
We've reported on this guy before. He's got the target on his head.
Is the same man police say was spotted on scooters with his accomplice soon after the attack and robbery. Alfonso Talley was arrested, and while at Sweetest Hospital, investigators say Talley pulled out a concealed gun, shooting and killing Officer Bartholomew and injuring his partner.
He no have hair.
No heart.
For police, for because I have family, I have 2 children.
As Maria deals with her own injuries, she's horrified to learn Talley was out on electronic monitoring.
Why do you let monsters out? All because of J.B. Pritzker's Safety Act, says Darren Bailey. J.B. Pritzker owns this. After beating Maria, he emmed a Chicago police officer. C3 says a man, photo 1 right here is a man that said there were no undercover FBI at January 6th, under oath. Photo 2 is a man that sent 26 undercover FBI to January 6th. Same guy, Christopher Wray. Telling you about the J6 report, the full breakdown. FBI deployed 26 paid confidential informants in Washington, D.C. on January, according to Wall Street Apes. 4 entered the Capitol building during the events. 13 entered restricted areas around the Capitol. It means over a dozen FBI-linked informants were actively in the riot or restricted zones. CHS provided intel that J6 was going to get a little hairy. FBI headquarters allegedly did nothing to prevent escalation and later claimed otherwise to Congress. 0 charges against any of their FBI informants. FBI covered up details before the election, confirmed Director Christopher Wray announced his resignation, timing tied to the report release. Media and Democrats pushed the inside job by Trump while dismissing FBI and Antifa involvement, despite early knowledge of CHS numbers. They knew. J6 politically benefited Democrats with impeachments, indictments, criminalizing MAGA, J6 committee focus. No accountability for uncharged informants despite the greatest attack on democracy since 9/11 rhetoric. There were allegedly payments made. Congress needs more details on confidential human source conduct, CHS, payments for hotels and more, and prevent activities. Says the FBI, media, and prior investigations are not all credible. This only means one thing. Democrats use the FBI to stage an insurrection against Donald Trump. They try to cover their tracks by hiring outside people to be agitators, then have those people they hired immunity against prosecution for doing the same activities they prosecuted Americans for, all to steal the election and rush certification of their stolen election. Inside job, treason, claims Wall Street apes. Do you agree or disagree with the Wall Street apes? Post. Never forget Anthony Fauci.
Often, when you get into the real world, the effectiveness of vaccines falls short of the original efficacy. That is not at all the case with the vaccines for COVID-19.
We got music. Dr. Dave Cartland says, never forget the COVID vaccine is 100% effective. Okay, it's 99% effective. Okay, it's 90% effective. Okay, it's 70% effective. Okay, it's only 50% effective. Okay, it's only 33% effective. Okay, you need a booster. Okay, you need 2 boosters. Okay, the vaccine injured some people. Okay, the vaccine was completely ineffective, injured tons of people, and killed some people. Anthony Fauci lied to all of us, and he lied to Congress under oath. Outgoing California Governor Gavin Newsom has an emergency break the glass plan if voters reject the Democrat candidates in the gubernatorial race. This is insane.
Did you hear what California Governor Gavin Newsom had to say this weekend? You know, he's term limited. And there's a primary going on in California, a jungle primary they call it, where all the candidates of both parties run at the same time. The top 2 vote getters advance to the November election. And there has been some polling showing the possibility of 2 Republicans claiming the top 2 slots. Could be unlikely, but certainly possible. Newsom was asked about that over the weekend. What he said, frankly, pretty chilling. Take a listen to this at cut number 5.
We all have agencies. We can shape the future. There's still a lot. Look, I've said this before, so I'll repeat it. I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario, and there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out, and we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll leave it at that.
Now, I want you to think about what they always say about Trump, that he is a threat to democracy, that he doesn't respect the will of the voters. And what you just heard there, Gavin Newsom saying that if the primary doesn't turn out the way he wants, that they've got an emergency plan to keep Republicans from assuming power. Well, it's pretty incredible stuff and pretty chilling when you add it to what Democrats are arguing they will do to the Supreme Court and other levers of power should they regain the White House in 2028. Trump exercises his will in elections, but Democrats, well, apparently they plan to exercise power through decidedly non-democratic means.
Not surprised at all. J.D. Vance exposes Gavin Newsom.
Has Governor Gavin Newsom contacted you to assist you?
I think the only contact we've had with Gavin Newsom so far is him telling us that we're not allowed to stop the fraud, or in fact trying to sue us to stop the fraud. So no, we have not had a positive relationship with Gavin Newsom on this. But Kaylee, I say this with all transparency. I would love for that to change. I would love it if Gavin Newsom had a come to Jesus moment and said, you know what, I'm going to take this fraud issue seriously, because we would work with him. We've said that to everybody, Democrat or Republican. We want to work with you to root out the fraud, but you've actually got to help us out. Let me give you another crazy example. Do you know, I didn't know this until a couple of months ago, so no shame, that when your government gives out, let's say, $7 billion to California for food stamp benefits, it doesn't know a single recipient of those food stamps. Not a one, because it's block granted to the states, and then we trust the states that they're going to police fraud themselves. We have not gotten any help from Gavin Newsom or a number of other blue states when we're trying to police to make sure that dead people don't get SNAP benefits, to make sure that these food benefits go to low-income kids. That's what they're there for, not to fraudsters. We'd love to have that cooperation, but so far, not yet.
Marion says, I can't hear Gavin Newsom's name without thinking new scum. Thanks, President Trump. Oh, that's good, Dina. People in California broke the glass, but there was no water. It's a good punchline to that. Attorney General Liz Murrill of Louisiana announces the arrest of 60 registered S offenders as part of Operation Restricted Domain in the greater Baton Rouge area. No safe havens in Louisiana for those who prey on children. Good job. What is this? Nick Sorter says, amid the reported Ebola outbreak, Trump admin just banned foreigners from entering the U.S. who have traveled to the Congo, South Sudan, or Uganda in the past 21 days. This is an order from the CDC. We should make this ban permanent, to be honest. Okay. Stephen Moore, average inflation. CPI. Under Trump 1, it was 1.9%. Biden, it spiked to 5%. Trump 2 is 3.4%. Democrats and mainstream media refuse to tell the American people the full scope of this. Ron DeSantis tells snowbirds who vote in New York, rich assholes who buy a huge house in South Florida and Airbnbs, to pony up, says Chris Nelson. Property tax elimination is for residents. I don't care if they get taxed. Why would I care about giving them a tax cut? I want to help Floridians with that. FBI Director Kash Patel says after an FBI investigation, California woman has been charged with illegally paying people to register to vote in federal elections, even falsely listing her own former residence for California mail-out ballots for homeless individuals without a mailing address. Good. So look, there's some indictments. She was charged. That is something. Cat Turd says apparently everybody in the USA wants the Save America Act except John Thune.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. So something of a non. Take a look here.
Creepy Scott Wiener campaign event featuring drag queens and one mocking women while dressed as a pig singing Wiener is a girl's best friend in front of kids. This is from Libs of TikTok. What in... With ballots in hand. Oh, my Lord.
There may come a tech bro who spends all his millions, but don't be fooled.
All right. Too much music, but I don't know what kind of nightmare fuel this is.
Here's a girl's love. Give it up for Scott Wiener.
Creepo.
It's a girl's best friend. There may
Matt Hamilton says he has a scoop. DWP's then CEO, according to the LAMaterial.com, didn't know that the reservoir in Palisades was empty until the day of the Palisades fire. Department of Water and Power didn't know that. That and other details on how the reservoir hangs over the LA mayoral election and Spencer Pratt hounding Mayor Bass about the empty reservoir. Spencer says, Karen Bass is the worst leader I've ever seen. Nobody even knew she was out of the country during the Palisades fire. Nobody could order air tankers because her deputy mayor was under house arrest. Her LA DWP chief didn't know that our reservoir was empty. Karen Bass is running an absolute clown show. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Vote for Spencer Pratt. Gunther Eagleman reporting that police will not enforce a Florida HOA's neighborhood gun ban. Good. Some commie HOA tried to strip law-abiding Americans of their God-given right to keep and bear arms inside their own homes and neighborhoods. Sheriff's office said, not happening. Constitution doesn't end at your property line, and neither does the Second Amendment. Good job. Here's your daily reminder from Nick Shirley that your tax dollars are going to men like this who run daycares who can't even answer a basic question about the $2.25 million they received from our tax.
Get out! Get out! I want to ask you about $2.25 million. Get out! Fuck you say. Get out of here, man. Get out, guys. Get out. You cannot do that. Get out. No, you cannot. You cannot do that. Where? Get out. This is fucking get out, man. No. Get lost. Get out. No. Sir. You have to get out. This is our brother. Get out. Why? Can I ask you about the daycare? I have the paperwork right here. No. Get out. What's the need for $2.25 million for a daycare? Get out. Can you answer the question? Get out. No, I don't ask you any question. Fucking. You guys. Get out. You can't answer the question. Get out. No. What are you? Who are you? My name's Nick Shirley. No, I don't give a shit. Get out. Could you answer the question? No, I don't. What's the need for $2.25 million for a daycare? No. Fucking $1 million. I don't worry about it. Get out. Get out.
And it's licensed for 118 children, but I don't see any footprints of any children here. I don't see any footprints of any children here.
Get out. Get out. Fucking guys. Get out. No, you're not asking nothing, man.
I'm just asking you about what we're seeing here.
No. Get out. Get out our business. Get out.
Sir.
This is my property.
You have millions of people watching right now. Can you say what's the...
This guy's crashing out.
You have millions of people watching right now. Can you say what's the need for $2.25 million?
Fucking $1 million.
And where are the 118 children?
Motherfucker, get out.
Sir, I'm just asking you a simple question.
Get out. No, you don't ask me any question. Fucking get out.
You have the opportunity to answer the question.
No. You can't ask me nothing. Get out. Get out our business, man. Get out. Get out, motherfucker. Get out.
Sir,
get out.
Just answer the question.
No.
Just answer
Get
the
out.
question.
No, get out. Leave.
Sir, just answer the simple question.
Hey, don't touch me. You touch me. You YouTube, man. Get out.
All right, code word has been given. We're out.
Get out.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Get out.
Sir, just answer the question. Where are the children? No footprints of any children around here. No footprints of any children.
Yeah, good stuff. And if you aren't aware of what happened to Bobby Kennedy's voice, here he is in an interview discussing what may or may not have happened. Please remember that I'll put it on the screen here. For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Anything regarding health, you got to get countervailing views.
You mentioned the COVID vaccine. What was the last vaccine you yourself had?
I took a lot of flu shots up until probably the mid-1990s. I was getting a flu shot every year.
Why'd you stop?
Well, I actually stopped in 2005 when I began looking at the side effects. And actually, I was litigating against I was preparing litigation against some of the flu shots several years ago. And one of the injuries that was listed on a lot of them was spasmodic dystonia. Mm-hmm. Which is an injury I have to my voice. That's why my voice is so screwed up. And that turns out to be a vaccine injury. Do I know that it was caused by my annual flu shot? I have no idea.
That's a very fair point to make, but it is a side effect of something he was doing.
Do you suspect it was?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
That's a very fair answer to that question. It is a possibility. It's a non-zero chance.
Potential culprit that I cannot rule out. So, but I can't prove it. Okay. And I'd like to know, we should have that data, but we don't.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There's his take. Senator Rand Paul drops a massive bombshell confirming Washington completely ignored Elon Musk's Doge findings and secretly respent all of the identified waste. He warns that the U.S. adds $2 trillion in debt annually, passing $39 trillion with interest alone, soon hitting a staggering $2 trillion. So how much can you fault Thomas Massie for seeing a budget that's just blows the fiscal roof off of the house. Well, you're not going along with it. Well, yeah, because look at what you did. You know, Rand Paul, Thomas Massie are pretty consistent. Rand Paul says Doge found the waste, but big spenders in both parties put it right back in. Zero of it became law, zero. The debt is still climbing. Interest payments are approaching $2 trillion a year, and both parties are to blame. Yes, Trump investigating Maryland's 500,000 illegal mail-in ballots.
Proof of citizenship, that they want transgender for everybody.
All right. Oh, Tim Burchett has thoughts on the tick situation.
Really crazy.
So that's Joe Rogan.
And ticks. Watch that thing.
The tick thing is nuts.
Yeah.
Especially
because of meat, because of Gates.
Well, there's
Bill
boxes
Gates,
people
Matt.
are finding. I don't know if this is true because I've seen many reports on it, but I'm just going to say what I saw. That farmers and ranchers are finding boxes of ticks on their property. Now, I don't know if that's fake. I don't know if someone's setting that up to pretend they found these boxes of ticks, but there's videos of these people finding boxes of ticks.
Now, what they'll say is they'll probably say they're sterile ticks and that we're planting them out there so we can diminish the population, is what they'll say. But anytime they try to mess with the balance of nature, it never goes right.
Is that what they're saying? This is?
No,
where
just
you
get ready.
That's what you think?
You're getting it right here.
I don't believe you have a right to go to someone's property and drop off sterile ticks.
No way in hell.
That's crazy either way. But I have a good friend of mine who got bit by the Lone Star tick and has that alpha gal problem.
Yeah, a guy came out of my house yesterday looking at putting gutters up at our house. And that guy, he said, and I said, you did what? He goes, yeah, I can't eat anything, any meat produced by a mammal.
Yes.
I was like,
yeah. So my buddy, he had it, and my friend Evan, so he had it for a little while, and then he did a bunch of treatments and got off of it and then started eating steak again. And he was fine for about a year and a half, and then it came back stronger than ever. And he just can't shake it.
It's been around that long.
See, he can only eat eggs. I mean, he's basically eating eggs and vegetables. That's all he's eating. And every time he tries to deviate, he has a horrible reaction. It makes, for people that don't know, it makes your body allergic to red meat.
Right.
You're poisoned. We don't say allergic. We've been poisoned.
And who has got genetically made meat now?
Yeah, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, well, they're doing things with mosquitoes, and they're messing around with nature in a way that no one's giving you permission to. The general public does not want you doing this. If they could vote on it, they'd say, no way.
Yep. Agreed. What's up, Kenneth? See Kenneth in chat. Good to have you. It really ticks. That just ticks me off. Exactly. More tick info.
Did we actually use ticks as bioweapons?
Yes, it's actually...
We played you a clip of this, but here's a little bit longer.
In CIA documents that have been declassified, for instance, infected ticks were deployed from C-130s flying low over sugarcane fields in Cuba back in the day under President Kennedy. There is abundant evidence of the testing, field testing, of infected ticks and other insects in a variety of settings in the United States and elsewhere. Clearly, USAMRIID was involved, and in particular, the Plum Island facility that had been a biowarfare investigative facility up in Long Island region, and then was transferred over to USDA, was involved in a lot of this research. It also involved infected mosquitoes, and deployed infected mosquitoes and a number of other things. And the one that, I mean, with this AI-driven investigation that I ran through as part of our efforts to develop new systems for verification and monitoring of the Biowarfare Convention, what this uncovered that I hadn't been aware of was the release of a large number of Lone Star ticks that have been radioactively tagged in Virginia. It appears that that was responsible for the introduction of Lone Star ticks along the eastern seaboard that have now migrated north of the Mason-Dixon line. So there's a lot.
Wait, radioactive ticks being dropped into Virginia by our government?
Absolutely, as part of a project in the 60s to look at the ability of these modified insects to disseminate geographically. And it appears that that's the origin of the Lone Star tick infestation that we now have along the eastern seaboard. It also appears that that Army research involved development of ticks that had multiple pathogens, and the appearance that those modified organisms found their ways into the eastern seaboard, potentially through animals crossing over to Plum Island and then back onto the mainland.
It's a mess, people. Senator Greg Dolezal says, along with 2 other candidates, I filed a lawsuit against Secretary Brad Raffensperger seeking a court order to allow poll watchers and state election board observers into the bunker where Georgia's statewide vote totals are received and published. Transparency should not be controversial. We have an update on that. Benny Johnson says the CNN panel doesn't know what to say when they find out a new congressional seat after Tennessee redistricted is going to go to a Republican black woman instead of an old white Democrat man.
The woman now who is likely going to win the 9th district in Tennessee is a black Republican woman as a result of this redistricting effort. It's likely going to be a black Republican woman who beats that old white man.
Could I make this very
But
simple
that's
point?
racist?
We're
going to come back.
It actually is.
We're going to take a quick break and then...
Yeah, we got to go to a break real quick. Candace is going to sit down with Hunter Biden. How helpful could this be?
So the FBI has had physical possession of Hunter Biden's laptop, which reportedly contains, well, a lot of disturbing material.
You have access to that actual laptop.
A jury found Hunter Biden guilty of 3 felony gun charges.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Oopsies. He lied. He pardoned a crackhead. Hunter Biden. Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead. The quote-unquote laptop, which, by the way, you know what the laptop proved?
That you were a crackhead.
There you go.
So she's having to sit down. Do teen ticks watch TikTok? Oh, my God. That's a tough one to say. Do teen ticks watch TikTok?
My marriage fell apart.
And
it's just someone who...
With Hunter Biden, if you find that to be interesting. Here is the very quick teaser. I filmed footage that is being used in this project. Ford Fisher put this out. Sneak peek, Fall of the Boogaloo. A News to Share documentary mini-series coming this summer. Watch the full trailer here on X this Wednesday. What day is today? Tuesday? I guess tomorrow. I'll play it for you and I'll show you my footage. At least 2 pieces, at least in the rough draft, were in this project. So take a look. We all got to watch this.
I have never been a federal informant for the FBI.
Spoiler alert. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? So anyway, when this trailer drops, we'll share it and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Steve Stewart. Not only have conservatives become vanishingly rare in academia, so have centrists. That's how complete the left's dominance is. Even moderates are now a fringe group in academia. Elon confirms that is true. All right, let me refresh because I had a couple little updates here as we were going. Breaking news out of Georgia. We'll get to in a second. But here's a creepy ass story. Never leave your cave without a club. This is what? Fox Local. I think this is, where is this from? Fredericksburg, Virginia. Matt Van Swell reporting this.
One wearing a creepy animal costume appeared to be deliberately targeting kids, scaring them, chasing them, allegedly trying to grab one little girl here in Fredericksburg. Now take a look on your screen. One of the children snapped this photo of the person in the costume. The concerned mother, who asked not to be identified, says this happened Thursday after school. Her 2 kids and several classmates had just gotten off the school bus when they spotted the person near the bus stop. She says the kids tried to avoid the individual by crossing the street, but as soon as the bus pulled away, the person in the costume allegedly started chasing after all 4 children. The mother says one little girl was nearly grabbed, but her sister pulled her away just in time. She says the person took off running once cars started driving through the area. The mother also shared with Fox 5 that the little girl was able to see underneath the person's mask and appeared to be a man. One wearing.
Okay, well, it's a man. Okay. Watch your kids. Another Matt Van Swole. 19-year-old girl is deed after a man with 4 prior arrests, including assaulting women, fired a shotgun through her front door in broad daylight. Hours later, he came back and emmed her outside her own home. Her name was Kamaria Tidwell, 19 years old. Sean Hubbard, 34, of Clover, North Carolina, calmly walks up and blasts a shotgun through the screen door in broad daylight. Family called police. Police searched for him but could not find him. He came back that night and emmed her outside her own home. This is the 3rd attack on the home in 5 days. Hubbard has been arrested 4 times before, including for assaulting women. Please pray for their family. We don't have to live like this. Look at this. Misdemeanor crime, domestic violence, assault on female, communicative threats, discharging firearm in the city. Great. Spencer Pratt exposing the nonprofits stealing all the money that's supposed to go to the homeless.
NGOs,
the nonprofits who are involved in that,
to me, are criminals.
Okay.
If you are making money off of this stuff, you're a criminal. If you're a charity, nearly all the money should go to helping people, not to salaries over $1 million. These people make over $1 million a year. Do you think they want homelessness to go away? Of course they don't.
And their argument would be, well, we're trying to fix the problem, and this, is a difficult thing to combat.
And I would say, well, then you should get a new career, because you don't get $1 million of tax money to clean our streets. The city will do it. Thank you for pretending to be a charity. We'll do it on our own. There's no excuse for anyone to get over $1 million to increase homelessness. I would say, oh, thank you for allegedly removing 1,500 people, which you can't even prove. These numbers they have are so cooked. Drive around LA. There is more homelessness than ever. The only people they have removed are the people that have OD'd and are dead. 6 people are dying a day on the streets of LA.
It is an epidemic out there. Nearly as bad as the tick explosion. President Trump being asked about why are people so mad at you making these renovations?
To the White House, to all these things. Why do you think people are so mad about your renovations?
Because I'm doing it.
The Meridian Hill Park, you got the water flowing again, all of it, and they just seem to hate you for it.
It's a sad thing, actually. And it's very nice. I appreciate the question. First I said, oh, this is going to be a negative question. Then I heard she's really saying, why do they hate you for fixing the water fountains? So, we have 40. I know. Because I want to see Washington be beautiful. To me, it's very important. But as an example, you mentioned the water fountain. We didn't have one water fountain, and I think we have 40. We didn't have one in Washington that worked.
They were all not working. See, I like President Trump just looking around going, what's wrong with that? Fix it. Why is that not happening? Fix it. Where is that? Replace it. That's terrible. Swap it out. Repair this. That's what I did in my HOA. Fix this. Where is that? Why isn't this being... Fix it. Add this. Go. I can't stand walking past problems. It's like, just fix it. All it takes is to give a shit. President just President Trump just posted Hussein Obama, Biden, and Nancy Pelosi swimming in sewage again, says Eric Daughtry. Democrats love sewage. They won't have to anymore because Trump is cleaning up the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool.
Cost all of that money. It would have been over $400 million with cost overruns, which of course are a normal cost of building if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And we did it for a couple of $1 million, and we did it in 1 week. I said 1 week. That's not including the preparation, which was 2 weeks alone, because it was so filthy dirty. We were getting complaints from people for years. It's been dirty and disgusting and rotting garbage in it. Terrible. We took away 16 loads of garbage out of that only 2 feet deep pool. So I just want to mention, because Doug
it's only 2 feet deep.
Has been great, and he went with me 100%. So we put this magnificent coating. It's almost complete. Not a paint job. New York Times, fake New York Times. I call it the failing New York Times. They're losing subscribers. They're losing subscribers so badly they don't know what the hell they're
Reflecting pool coming in. Here's Pope AOC. She did this over the weekend.
To make sure that we all understand that Montgomery is not alone. That you all are
She's standing in a Pope mobile behind bulletproof glass.
not alone. And for all of those watching today, when they ask, what do we do in this moment? I feel helpless. What action can I take? It is time for the North to pull up to the South. It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama.
Well, she's code switching to Alabama.
It is time for New York.
Time.
It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It is time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have uncorked with this injustice. They think they can draw us out of power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened.
Yeah, okay. So there's the Pope in the Pope mobile.
NGO.
All right. I think I have one more story for you there. And while we're at it, my shift is coming to a close, so I'm going to slide your tab to you right there. If you take a look, it says $0. If your tab is nothing. Here at the bar, my shift is just about over. I've taken the liberty of running your credit card. It says 0, but at the bottom, there is a tip line if you want to do anything. Patreon, YouTube, and Rumble, sign up to become a monthly subscriber. Or you can toss me a Rumble rant tip or a Super Chat tip. Always appreciated. Keeps the lights on here. You can do Venmo, Cash App. That's my name, Brian Engelman, or PayPal, fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. And that's all scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you want to just pause it and shoot something over. We stand on the street corner singing songs with the guitar case open. If you like it, toss some coins in. We always appreciate it. All right, I have this one more story. It looks like something is happening out of Georgia. This is, what's her name? Emerald Robinson on Lindell TV.
Aha! Breaking news.
Emerald.
There's the order.
Yes, breaking news. The order was filed with Shay Alexander, the clerk of the Fulton County Superior Court. It was signed at 11:02 a.m. this morning. I have copies here. Judge Earl Glanville is the Superior Court judge in Fulton County who issued this order. It's a pretty comprehensive order letting us have access. And so I have it here. It is breaking news on your show.
That's amazing. That's great because as you said in the meeting that we just played the clip from, you think everybody should have access, right? The Democrats, the Republicans on the board, everybody, because we want transparency. Now, the person who did have access from the beginning was a man named Aaron Wilson. He's the Raffensperger ally who in 2020 established the Misinformation Election News Board to, honestly harass election integrity advocates. In an email, he said, back dated January 3rd, 2020, we are beginning the development of the misinformation reporting portal with the hope that it could be piloted in the presidential preference primaries. I guess they just thought they were going to get away with it, Sally, right? Because, I mean, so far they've gotten away with a lot. I mean, why did Raffensperger, it's so obvious. Why did he think he could even do this?
You know, that is the question of the day, of the year, of the past 6 years of my life.
So this goes on. It's a 6-minute clip here, but state election board members barred from Georgia's election night reporting bunker. We've never been given admittance. I've never been in the facility. I don't know. This Sally Grubbs, what's her name? Don't know what the setup is. But now Georgia state election board members granted access to Raffensperger's controversial secret bunker where statewide election results are aggregated. The order signed by Judge Earl Glanville, according to Lindell TV here, was filed this morning and marks a major victory for election transparency advocates after months of backlash over the lockdown facility being hidden from board members, candidates, and the public. There should be equal access and transparency for everyone. Grubbs also raised serious concerns about California Secretary of State allies allegedly having insider access to election operations, while election integrity advocates and even board members were shut out. She further accused Raffensperger of placing election workers in difficult legal territory by reportedly visiting county election offices while actively running for governor, citing Georgia election law restrictions on candidates being present around ballot processing operations. If Georgia's elections are truly the cleanest and most transparent in the country, why keep this place secret? Massive development in Georgia election oversight. So that's pretty good. All right. Kenneth coming in off the top rope. Throwing a tip into the tip jar back there. Hold on. How do you? Yeah. Clink. Coin bait. Yes. No rage bait here. Coin bait. Not the Coinbase app. Coin bait. Kenneth, always appreciate you. Always appreciate everybody tipping the show. It does keep the lights on and keeps this flow in here. Thank you so much. David, what's up? Glad you were here. I didn't reference you very much during the show, but always happy having you around. Ortho, pleasure having you. Dina as well. Everybody, it's always fun hanging out. And why can't I get rid of that screen? Because it's a glitch. It's not supposed to do that. So we'll put it in the corner. Nobody puts glitchy in the corner. Oh, now it's gone. Anyway, a lot of news every day. There's a lot of news to get to. I try to share the crazy, the interesting, the important, the relevant, the funny. And I appreciate you all for being here. We'll be back again tomorrow at noon. Share the show with your friends. Stay vigilant. Go vote if today's your day. Knock on the doors of all your friends. Get them ready for the primaries. Your neighbors. Talk to people. We got a country to save. And we'll continue that process tomorrow at noon here on the New American Media. So signing out on behalf of Ortho, Kenneth, Dina, David, Marion, John, and the rest. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.